How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Confined Space. We are here today reviewing the lovely and wonderful another entry into the MCU, Thor: Love and Thunder. I am Juan Cordero, and over here by my side, I have.
Anthony Romero,
And I dropped my
critically
phone.
acclaimed filmmaker,
In the future,
trying
trying to
in
eventually.
the future one day.
So, like I said, today we are reviewing Thor: Love and Thunder. This is the fourth entry in the Thor film, and I have no idea what is the entry in.
The
I want to
MCU
say probably
first.
30th,
Yeah, honestly,
probably.
it's a lot. Not
It's
counting the
around
TV
there.
shows and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, well, as a film, probably 20, up to 20, because I think it ended in 22nd, so add a couple more from the Phase 4. But we're still in Phase 4. I don't think this ends Phase 4 anywhere near,
hmm
but I do believe it is somewhere close, adjacent to it. So Thor: Love and Thunder, starring the wonderful, goofy Thor, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, the
yeah,
titular Thor Orderson, and pretty much in this basic plot is Thor has found peace at being a guardian of the galaxy. Essentially, he has peace being the one who gets to go on vacation, on adventures, semi-vacation, but because he gets to destroy stuff and wreak havoc and save towns and other galaxy and planets. Uh, Unknowingly that there is a secret new villain out there called Gore the God Butcher, and the name kind of says all. He is the God Butcher. He not too much of his backstory. Want to say I would like to keep that for
yeah,
surprise, but the God Butcher pretty much is just what he is. He's out to slay the gods, and not knowingly that back in Asgard there is a new Thor, and that is Jane Foster. Won't tell you how she becomes Thor, but she becomes the Mighty Thor, or some people want to say Lady Thor, but they even have an in joke. Why not Lady Thor?
yeah.
Uh, and pretty much just like in Ragnarok, he sets up a team consisting of himself, Thor, Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, Valkyrie, the king of New Asgard, and his best friend, Gorg. Pretty much they're on the set adventures to go and destroy and stop Gore the Guard Butcher before more havoc is reached. And along the side, he needs to find another powerful weapon, pretty much, as the trailer says, owned by Zeus, played by Russell Crowe. So that's pretty much the plot of the film. Don't want to give away too much, just because it's like a typical MCU film. You don't want to give away too much, mainly because
Yeah.
it's the surprise is always there.
There's always
Uh,
there's always things you want to keep hidden. Some stuff I didn't know about, so when it happened, it was kind of like nice, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know who wants to go first. You or me? Should we
Um,
rock paper scissors this out?
sure, yeah.
All right.
Hopefully the lag doesn't okay,
Can you see my
rock,
fingers? All
yeah,
right.
rock, paper, scissors,
I
shoot.
went first.
Go
Would you
ahead
get
for
scissors?
scissors.
All right. So I went first. So you do you want to go first? Do you feel
I
like you
can
have?
I can go first.
All right.
Um, so this is basically Thor's quest for love. Um, it's everybody's quest for love, not just Thor. Everybody in this movie kind of has that theme of love, and I think it, for the most part, succeeds in what it is. I think that there's definitely elements where I wanted to see more, and I do agree with you. I won't get into what your argument is because I do want to have you say it, but I do agree with you. I was a tad bit disappointed, but for the most part, I went in with expectations and I came out kind of satisfied. I don't know. I saw it as like I knew that this was going to be like a straightforward like comedy film, like mainly focused on the comedy, especially with Taika Waititi as the director. And yeah, it was pretty simple at that. It's just like it feels like a very simple, straightforward Marvel film where you're watching a character sorry go through his arc and um, I didn't have any like strong thoughts about it. I was never like insanely like or highly critical of everything about it. I still had fun with it, but I also wasn't like blown away like Ragnarok. You know, Ragnarok was
Yeah,
something that I felt like uh, was special and is probably I arguably like one of my favorite MCU movies for sure. Um,
yeah.
and it's definitely not that, but I still like most of the humor. I still like Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I love Natalie Portman in this. I like her a lot more in this than I do in like the other two. I think Korg's fine. I think Tessa Thompson's character is pretty cool. I like her. I love seeing her in like that universe. She's pretty badass. And yeah, I like Christian Bale too. I don't know. Hear your thoughts. We go back and forth.
So I am a little bit more critical in Thor: Love and Thunder, just because I do want to say after such a good entry on a character that Marvel had lost kind of faith in,
Oh yeah,
which is Thor. I do feel that Ragnarok was Taika trying to take the ball and roll with it and make it something his own, and they allowed him to do what they wanted to. One of my biggest issue that I have with this film is the change of not knowing exactly what's the limit that they want to go on silly goofiness, but also not knowing the limit of okay, we don't want to get too dark and serious with the subject matter,
mm-hmm.
but also like I don't know, it's like it wants to be random Taika comedy, but it also wants to be serious MCU, especially with the villain. And I was just disappointed by most of it because it just I felt like maybe they should have just went full 100% into this main story, into the main moral plot of the film, and tone down the comedy or double check what jokes or gags hit, because I do feel not all the jokes and gags hit a hundred
Yeah,
percent.
I can agree. There's definitely
Yeah,
some misses.
yeah, or
Um,
maybe not misses, but maybe at a second viewing you would undersee
it's a
it.
problem with Marvel's like humor is that sometimes they just they don't uh they don't hit. I think that's why Ragnarok is like one of my favorites. I think that's why Guardians is one of my favorites also.
Yeah,
Is that that humor is like one of the main reasons why it's so fun to watch. But like there's
yeah,
movies like Ant-Man where like it's not like bad, but the humor is like it can be a lot like really hit or miss sometimes with what it goes for sure.
yeah, and I think the both morally plot for both Guardians 1 and 2. I think 2 kind of misses, but it's more more plot driven and moral driven. But at least Ragnarok and Guardians, not so much Ant Man, but they're funny, but they're still very good movies with
Yeah,
moral plots that hit strong
yeah,
and have a lot
definitely.
to say. I don't know. I was a little disappointed by this film where I did felt Phase 4 is that weak series in Marvel, and I'm hoping they could branch back up. I mean, they have. If this is how they're going, where it's cool 100% a mixture of different genres of film. We saw a horror film in Doctor Strange. We saw a Greek Odyssey in Eternals. We saw a martial arts wire kung fu film with Shang Chi, and then we now have essentially a goofball comedy with some moral ambiguity in there. I just felt like the next one is Black Panther. Hopefully by later this year of
Yeah,
2022. Um, that's worries me because that's
that
the
one
movie
is
that
worth
had
it.
it has a good villain in the first one, and it has a good politically and also racially and also culturally moral to that story or to that plot.
I think
I don't
like
know. Yeah,
I think that I do like Phase Four a lot. I could definitely understand the messiness of it, but I do appreciate that at least and we've agreed on this that like Phase Four feels at least the most like stylistic, where each film at least feels different from the rest. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And whether that's messy or not, because the universe feels so flip floppy, where you go
yeah,
from seeing Doctor Strange that is like this intense horror film, and then you go from seeing Thor, which is this goofy, silly, cartoony film, and then we're going to go back to a more serious film with Black Panther because that's going to it'll probably be more drama. Um, but then we'll go back to Ant Man and we'll go back to Guardians. It does feel like flip flop for sure, but I do like that each of these movies at least has like some sort of a style to them. Like this movie especially has like a really fun and unique style to it. I think Thor Ragnarok again does it better. That whole like campy element to it. This one goes more intense on it with that whole camp, but I do at least appreciate and like the overall look. I love the fight scene on the Shadow Realm that it's in black and
Yes.
white. I think it looks really cool, and the colors that they do make pop when they start fighting, I think is pretty tight. Um, but yeah, I don't blame anyone for being like not that great, like crazy about it. It's is a letdown from Ragnarok, but I still liked it. I still enjoyed myself, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if Taika knows how to complete his three series of Thor, if he comes back for another Thor movie,
Yeah,
I want to say maybe this was the like that Strikes Back
yeah,
after the
yeah.
third
I could see
one.
that. Yeah,
Um, I hope, but I don't know. I mean, as a director himself, with strong outings like Ragnarok and then Jojo Rabbit, essentially this feels like a mix of different, not just formulaic of Marvel films, but just feel like a different pace of, like you could tell they wanted to go a more serious plot, but they kind of wanted them to keep it more comedically and kind of silly at times.
I think Marvel suffers from that a lot, where
Yeah,
they want to do both, where they want to tell a very serious and dark plot, but they also don't want to like completely sacrifice and get rid of the comedy. Sometimes I think that's why like Falcon and the Winter Soldiers show is like kind of like a nice like little bit of a change of pace because it is very like intense and dark with
yeah,
its like subject matter. It's not like filled to the brim with jokes. And I do think that if this movie would have went more towards the silly route, it could have been good. And if it would have went more towards the serious route, it would have been good. But it's like very split and it's trying to do both. And I do feel like that is like kind of like a issue.
yeah. I agree.
I'm
What
not saying
makes me
it can't do both, but you know,
Yeah, I mean it could. I mean it's possible, but it sucks when I hear Christian Bale's character and what's the end game for that character and Jane Foster and then Thor in the middle of it. I am disappointed where I could pick out stuff that I'm like, oh, this is the driving plot of this. This is that questionable, like Falcon and Winter Soldier makes you question society and politically, even in that MCU world, or even Endgame or Black Panther. And with some, I mean, I think it is disappointing that you have someone as high caliber as Christian Bale playing a role that honestly at the end could have been played by anyone really not really known big as Christian Bale.
kind of. I do feel like Christian Bale adds like a
Yeah,
personality to a character that none of us know all that much, unless you're
yeah,
like a comic book fan. But like, I I do think he adds. Um, I don't know. I do think he plays Gore. His name's Gore, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think he does play him like really well. I do like that. I would like to see him in more stuff with Marvel because I do think he's a very talented actor. But I also think that I'm glad that he was in this and like you know
Yeah. I don't know.
I
I
found
feel
him
like it
I found him
was
creepy
basically.
looking and creepy at
Yeah.
times, but I I don't know.
I would agree. He is creepy looking.
Yeah, they
That whole fight scene in his essentially the planet that he's taking over is fucking phenomenal. If you ever anyone who complained about CGI on the MCU side aspect, honestly, shut up because if you ever say, "Oh, I want something like Sin City," you get like a fragment of what Sin City would look like now, or something in the black and white terms
Oh,
in the comic
yeah,
book.
sure.
It looks very comic booky. This is one of those
Yeah, that is
films.
true. I could agree. Like this does feel uh that comic book feel to it. It does have
Yeah,
that comic book vibe to it, which people can say is a good thing or bad thing. I like it, especially with the character like Thor, which I just think is like a goofy character that
colorful.
he's colorful, his world's colorful, his like he has
Yeah,
like kind of a he's kind of slow, but not in like a you know what I mean? Like he's very like dumb, but not. It's hard to explain.
he's essentially
He's
someone who
dumb, but he's like
suffers. Yeah, who has suffered so much, even in the comics and in
yeah,
this current storyline in the MCU, where he has suffered so much that he doesn't want to suffer. So by him being a goofball or an idiot, that's the perfect round for him. And when he has to get serious, he has to get serious. And when he
yeah.
knows
He did
when
great
it's
in
time,
like Endgame. Yeah,
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, yeah, everyone has really bad storylines. I think Thor has the most depressing storyline out of all of them.
yeah, yeah. He lost a lot. They
Yeah,
no spoilers, but they do kind of like remind you in the beginning of the movie that like he has lost a lot.
yeah.
So um yeah,
And essentially, I mean, if you ever wonder, like, if you were someone who weren't like prepared, like you thought Ragnarok cool, and you wanted like another name that was mystical to Norse mythology or Greek mythology or whatever, Love and Thunder really is established why it's called Love and Thunder. In this, I mean, not just love, but it's not so much love of Jane Foster. There's love around, it's by the end you realize why they even tell you why it's called Love and Thunder by the very
yeah.
end.
Um,
Yeah.
it really explores like how he deals with his loss in it, how he deals with it's really about love and loss and how
Yes.
he deals with his fear of losing someone and because he's lost someone like in all of his movies almost. But
Too much.
yeah, I do wish that it was a little harder on that impact because that emotional impact would have been
Yeah.
great. But I still, yeah, I still liked it for a good chunk of the movie.
What would you give it on a rating scale from like
Rating,
1 to 10? 10. 10 being good, best movie ever, great, or personally just loved it, and one being bad.
probably like a 6,
6.
maybe a 6. I don't think it's. I've seen people say that it's like the worst MCU movie yet,
No.
and I'm like, it's nowhere close to the worst MCU movie. There's definitely worse ones.
Yes.
It's nowhere near the best, but it's nowhere near the worst. It's very much in the middle category where like I'd put like Ant-Man or something. Maybe I don't know. I don't. Ant-Man's kind of forgettable to be honest, so I don't really remember it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
they
I'd probably
are.
give it a 6 out of 10. I want to see it again, but as of right now, I'd probably say 6 out of 10. What about you?
I would probably, I don't know, I mean, you give it a 6. I will probably give it a 6 as well, just because it's not bad. I'm disappointed because I was expecting something more of an impact after where we left off with him after Endgame, especially the whole story arc with him and Taika coming back and proving himself to be a very great dramedy type of director who could balance both
Yeah,
comedy and drama. I do think this is another line of a Phase 4 where cool ideas, cool structure, different type of film genre, but fails in the moral story and fails to make an impact after MCU. So, like in another aspect where I understand why some people are hero fatigue because I don't think Phase 4 is giving them that push to stay on,
sure.
not to get that fatigue. But I mean, they're not bad movies. I mean, I don't think none of them on Phase 4, even Eternals, which is not the greatest, it's not bad. I could see someone personally loving it because it does feel the more different out of all of them in this current phase. Um,
I think like everyone's so marveled out, and it's mainly or heroed out, and I think it's mainly because of just the amount of content they're pushing out.
Yeah,
In it, I mean, it's been like 6 months, and we've already gotten like so
a
much
lot.
in just this one year. And
Yeah,
I love the work that Marvel puts into their universes and stuff like that. And I do think that it does take a lot, but it's also like I think what makes the first three phases of Marvel so good is that we had to wait and like
yes.
um, there was this like build up, but now that we like keep getting things like constantly, it's kind of tough. And I don't really
Yeah.
blame them. They have a lot of stuff to do, but I don't know.
Essentially, now we have homework. Each
Yeah,
of the
it does feel
films.
like homework at times. Like
Yeah.
I have to watch Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, and it doesn't. It feels like I have to like do an assignment or something.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the shows have been a better
Yeah, I have like
Marvel that feel that we want from the movies. The shows have been better, and maybe because they're shows. But even though some of the shows have 6 episodes, 7 episodes, 8 episodes, something they're fucking random on their episodes. But at least they still get the whole story complete. And yeah, maybe they fall off by the end, but I think the movies back then were saying a lot with just the 2 hour runtime, and now they're kind of fumbling. But you can kind of see something's missing in Marvel, and maybe Kevin Feige isn't as 100% as he was after that. Maybe he is doing Star Wars secretly, or maybe someone else is taking over. But you could tell they're not hitting that impact that the first several phases did. Uh, what would you give from these phase fours that we have? Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther. Not Black
a
Panther.
Thor.
Thor.
Where would
That's
I
it, right?
place them?
Yeah.
Um, so I'll start with the bottom. I'm gonna put Shang-Chi, but just because I haven't seen it, I'm just putting it down there because I haven't seen it yet. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna like technically count it. But in my top four that I have seen, and I don't like Eternals at all. I think there's something there for sure, but I didn't like that movie. It was like just, it's kind of a chore to get through. It's like really long.
Yes, I'm there
Yeah,
with you.
it very much feels like a beginning Marvel film, which there's good ones, but I don't know. It didn't feel like one of the good ones.
Yeah, the early
Um,
phases.
yeah, so I would put Eternals at the bottom. Um, you said Thor, Doctor Strange,
Doctor
and
Strange,
what was the other one?
Eternals, Shang-Chi, and Black Widow.
Oh, then I put Black Widow. I thought it was okay, um, but I thought it was better than Eternals. I just wish it came out at a different time, or
Yeah.
like we were talking about, like I wish it was like a show instead. But Black Widow there, and then Thor. I at least had fun watching Thor, even though like sometimes where things were like a little bit like iffy. I still had a really fun time watching Thor and laughed a good chunk. And then of course Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange is the best one so far.
I forgot one.
Oh, which one?
No Way Home, Spider-Man.
Oh, but that's no, because that
But
one's
it
technically.
counts.
Oh
It's
no,
phase four, but
I was gonna
it's the
say
stepchild.
yeah. Then then Spider Man's at the very top. That movie's
Very
great.
dope.
I love that one.
Uh, I would put uh, Black Widow at the bottom because I do think that movie suffers a lot. You could tell during the pandemic, before it was released, it was messed with a lot. I think they failed on the mark that it's not about the spy or the action that we wanted to see and that invested us in during that whole movie was the family aspect. I would definitely put Eternals because I think it was a failed attempt at something that they already tried with the original Thor,
Yeah,
but it is the most beautiful looking cinematically, not visually, not CGI, but like cinematography wise of all the MCU movies. It looks fucking beautiful. But you know,
I'm
with
indifferent. I think
yeah,
I think Ragnarok is probably my favorite cinematography wise. I think
I
you could
mean,
pluck out any part of that movie and it looks beautiful.
yes, but I'm saying it more in the sense of like it feels more like an indie film, an indie
Oh yeah,
MCU
yeah,
film. But
sure.
I will agree with you on that aspect. Um, so we have there. I would put. I would put Doctor Strange. As much as I love it, I do think it has a lot of problems, and I don't think it has a lot to do with not the horror aspect of Sam Raimi, is his comedy timing has never been the greatest. It's very vaudeville and it's very cheesy, but not like Taika cheesy, where Taika's random. I would say his cheesiness is just like it's outdated. But it doesn't really
Oh,
relate. Like any youngsters who never seen a Sam Raimi film will see like I don't get the funniness. I'll be like, I'm there with you, just not because I don't get it, because it's an outdated comedy that doesn't work well now. Only one that's been doing good that type of comedy is Mr. Bean, Roland Atkins, and Man vs. Bee. But we have there, we have. I would put No Way Home, another one. I have to hold my fingers. No Way Home, there because I think as much as it's a spectacle and it is a memorable film, I do think that plot is weak as shit. Once you rewatch it, you
I think
realize this film does not make sense.
it makes. I mean, like
It's plot holes,
it
a
for
lot.
sure has plot holes for sure, but
Yeah,
I think like
the
you find
spectacles were
plot holes in like
amazing.
most of the Marvel films for sure.
But I will say this: from Me Too, from Beyond, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means they're good, but
I
it's
know.
just an order where I enjoy them. So after that, I would put. I think I would put Thor. Thor, just because I think when I rewatch it, it will be funny, but I do believe that I will still be disappointed on the what ifs. If there is a direct, if they ever did a director cut, I would definitely be like, oh, okay, that is absolutely necessary. Usually Marvel doesn't do director's cuts,
Yeah,
but I feel like Thor Love and Thunder needs it, and there might be a lot of stuff where I say that moral ambiguity, that moral aspect of between faith, religion, love would have made 100% more impactful, at least for me. And then Shang Chi, while it feels like an Ant Man and it's cheesy and it is funny, it's a different world we never been in, and I like what they do with it. And out of all of them, the Mandarin in this version is one of the greatest villain besides Wanda. In because I think Wanda's better than Gore and Mandarin is higher. He has a lot of depth into what he's given. Like it is a typical revenge on his aspect, but you're seeing someone who has all hope is lost, and he tried. It's pretty much Breaking Bad. He did good, and he's breaking back to his old ways, and he's not gonna until his own family puts him down, and wherever you haven't seen it, but wherever the way that plot goes, it I don't know. I mean, I would not say culturally for me, Shang-Chi did not hit like Black Panther, but it was like Black Panther where I was transferred into a different world and I was invested and I want to see where these characters go. Um, I don't know. I would rank Shang-Chi as my most at the end of the day was exciting. Everything else was just guilty pleasure, fun, amazing, different aspect. But again, anything beyond that is so good. Lower than that is like, yeah, I would not watch Black Panther or no Black Widow or Eternals anytime soon again. I would rewatch all of them. I would rewatch Doctor Strange, Spider Man. I rewatched it a couple times, and Thor. I would love to rewatch it, not the movie theaters, but at home.
yeah.
And Shang Chi, I have rewatched it, and I think Shang Chi still holds up.
That
But it
one,
is the most cheesier.
that one I've been waiting to watch. I haven't like because when that one came out,
Yeah,
I was having the whole like Marvelitis, where I
yeah,
was like, it's like I want to watch a Marvel movie, but I'm also like kind of sick of like superhero stuff right now, so I want to take a break. And that movie came out, and I was like I'll check it out when it comes to Disney Plus, and then I've yet to watch it, but I
yeah.
still need to catch up. Like I haven't seen that, haven't seen Moon Knight, haven't seen Miss Marvel. I think that's it. I watched What If and all that stuff, but
Yeah, but they're more fun. I would think Shang-Chi would probably be your least favorite because
it
it feels like a
looks good. I think I might like it because Eternals is. mm, I think I'll like it more than Eternals for sure.
yeah,
Even if
yeah.
like
I would feel like maybe you from what I will say you would fight it between Black Widow and Shang-Chi just because I do feel like Shang-Chi isn't nothing new or creative. It is cheesy as hell, but it is at least entertaining and you are invested in what they go on. And it is another where we are introduced to this new power and this new world, but it you want to know where it goes beyond that, but it's
um,
50-50. But yeah, that pretty much sums up today for Thor Love and Thunder. I mean, you give it a 6. We both give it a 6. We're both there. But we're not saying it's bad movies. I would recommend it highly. Watch it at, I don't know. My audience were very indifferent. I feel like it was a very dead crowd for me. But a matinee, when it's not too crowded,
yeah. I would say that if I don't know if you like Thor, you go see it because like he's fun. You know, he's a fun character. I don't know.
I will say matinee where you can laugh at all the jokes that you catch all by yourself and very little people there to look at you like, okay, this shit's not funny. Because if you're there laughing with a big crowd and no one is laughing, that's the most awkward feeling ever.
No.
But I mean, I know people been very divisive of this specific MCU movie, but I think at least MCU has established out of Hollywood blockbuster films, they have been pushing the boundary of different genre bending, also mixture of genres, and also I don't know, like
I'm just
fleshing
happy.
out their characters.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that Phase Four is at least not a retread of Phase One, trying
Yeah,
to cash in on doing Endgame again. It
yeah,
does feel at least like something different, and like they're taking more risk with characters and where they're taking certain things. I
yeah.
just hope that it does end up going somewhere in the long run, and that we don't have to
It feels
like.
more edgier.
It does feel like they're making more risk with their storytelling for sure. Like
Yeah.
kill. Oh, I almost spoiled. I almost spoiled it, but I do think that it does do some
Yeah.
risk. Yeah, for sure.
It feels like edgy and like you said, risk is the perfect word, and it does feel like there's a lot of I just hope it goes somewhere, or
Yeah,
if they
same.
just let us know, hey, if it doesn't go nowhere, these are just one shots. That eventually little elements will be put in here, especially with the whole thing. They have a big establishment in here with gods, and they've been introducing that with Miss Marvel and Moon Knight, fucking Celestial, where internal sci-fi beings, fucking galactic stuff. Not Galactus like the villain, don't get it twisted. Galactus is not in this movie, but more galactical elements of the MCU.
Yeah,
And also the supernatural aspect that we're getting more of, and we're gonna probably get more of in Blade, hopefully. Which I hope they don't mess that up because I love Blade.
yeah. I'm very
Um,
interested in that. Very interesting.
yeah. Well, all right, then I think that's all for today. I hope you guys don't forget to like and subscribe. We are Confined Space. We're here pretty much going to be talking about movies in the future. We have some more stuff lined up. Don't forget to follow us in other formats on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. I know Anthony would love eventually to review movie trailers that will be coming up for him.
Yes, I love trailers. They're so interesting.
And I will be doing a lot more. And I think Anthony would too when he gets a chance to see more films. Is I will be reviewing more streaming stuff because I do think this year has been a hit and miss for streaming stuff. But I do feel like now that streaming is more powerful as a media, a lot of good content is becoming missing and does not get the recognition it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're gonna be expanding and trying out TikTok, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. To
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
keep a lookout. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If we are feeling a little sloppy, we will get better within time. It's all structure and producing more content out there. But yeah, go watch Thor at the movie theater. And if not for the kids, Minions. I wouldn't say Minions,
Go
but
see
okay.
Minions. Go see Minions. Give them all their money you can because that movie's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's indifferent. We'll probably do eventually review on that. Maybe
Like
best. Maybe
and best movies
if
of the
it's
year because it'll probably be mine. Top
not for me.
five.
Okay, then I will put Morbius as one of the best movie of the
Movies
year.
is best movie of the year for sure.
All right, Anthony. We're all set
All
for
right,
today, and hope you guys enjoyed our review. We really don't want to give a lot of spoilers, especially with something like MCU. We want you guys to go and enjoy it as a spectacle, within personally, full crowd or around people, however.
all right.
All right, and we're all set. All right, guys. Take care.